Every act of sacrifice comes with a great price. At the center and at the heart of Christianity is the greatest sacrifice, that Christ came on earth, died on the cross for sinful men, that whoever confessed their sin, the Bible tells us that he has given us the right to be called sons and daughters of God. It is in keeping with sacrifice. I want to revisit the second chapter of Exodus. And I want to point out to you that what Moses did in killing an Egyptian on behalf of a Hebrew was an act of sacrifice. It showed that Moses had a great deal of compassion, but ultimately it was an act of sacrifice. Allow me to prove this to you. Moses is brought up as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. That means he has the privileges, he is wealthy, he is well known, he is esteemed. All that it could come with being associated with Pharaoh's daughter, he has. Yet, Moses was willing to jeopardize all this, to put this all on the line for the sake of a Hebrew. He was not asked by the Hebrew to defend him. And this act that Moses committed was not even something that God placed on his heart to do. So what led Moses to make this act, to commit this act? It was simply his sacrifice. It was his compassion. When you think about what Moses had, and what you think about what he was willing to let go, to relinquish, on a part of defending the Hebrew, it was a great deal. There are times where God will place in our hearts to do something on the behalf of someone else. But there are also times where our own compassion, the attribute that God has given us, that he has redeemed through salvation, that he wants us to see our own compassion come to the forefront to assist somebody else. Moses was willing to refuse all those things, his notoriety, his fame, his fortune, his good wealth, his good name, for the sake of someone else. And the reason why this kind of compassion, this kind of sacrifice has not yet materialized among us is because we are too comfortable. We like what the things we have. We like what they afford us. So it's a hard thing to let go on behalf of someone else. But Moses did not regard these things. But when he made the decision, he knew that he would lose all. In fact, we see that he loses all. He became a man who was wanted, a fugitive. From going from the palace to basically moving from home to home, away from all the comfort that he knew. This was a measure of the sacrifice that he took when he decided to defend the Hebrew. I only ask you to consider when certain things need to be done on somebody else's account, would your compassion show up? Would your willingness to sacrifice it all show up? For we have countless examples of individuals who are willing to sacrifice it all. On top of it, we have Christ, we have Paul, we have Peter. We have martyrs in the faith who was willing to die and lay it all. We have John the Baptist, who's basically his life quarters was living in the wilderness and eating locusts. And we have this extraordinary person by the name of Moses, who showed a great deal of sacrifice on the part of the Hebrew. He was not asked to do so. It was not placed on his heart to do so by God. But because that compassion, that innate characteristic that God has given us, at times it must show up. So it's my challenge to you, and it's a challenge to myself, that at times let my compassion for others allow me to take action. I'm not calling for us to kill anyone. But I'm calling for us to ultimately show a level of compassion that is mostly sacrificial. And this is where I leave you, my friends. Have a great day and be blessed.